So this is the first in a series of how to cook videos with the intent on the new cook. Sent our son off to college and his first internship, and neglected to make sure he knew how to fix a few dishes besides pasta and rice. So what we're going to do today is the first dish I learned through the Frugal Gourmet. I've dubbed it Pollo de Pulver, Brian's Chicken. So it's pretty basic. It's just some sliced up chicken, and at a minimum it's got onions and garlic in it, and then you can pretty much add whatever you want to whatever you got in your fridge, whatever you want to round it out. Got some leftover onions and green pepper, cooked with color, so we got some yellow and red peppers. Got a little zucchini, throw it in there, little mushrooms, gonna make a sauce, probably throw some tomatoes in there, and then put it over pasta. Obviously would also work over rice, and just gonna go through the steps. It's pretty straightforward and simple. So there's a little little time lapse there. I was doing this, dicing these things up. I kind of got different, got this cool little cutting board mise en place thing. It helps just to get everything ready ahead of time before you start cooking. And I kind of divide things up. Like these are all going to go probably in about the same time, and cook about the same length. Throw these in later, throw these somewhere in between. Probably tomatoes at the end, although those are already, I don't have to do any cutting because those are in a can. So anyway, you can also do bowls or Tupperware, whatever you particularly have to hold, but it just makes it easier once you're in the middle of the cooking, because it gets a little stressful when you first start doing it. But I'm just gonna do a few mushrooms here, not too many, a couple more. I tend to wash them off. I know there's some people that say you shouldn't do that because they take on water, but I never seem to have a problem with that, and so I just like to get the shishi off of the mushroom there. A couple more things. I think that's pretty much it. What we need for prep. I'm going to get another cutting board because I don't like to do meat on the wood there. So wipe it off. Bad boy, start cutting up some chicken. All right, so now we're gonna go to a chicken. We got our plastic board here. Again, the thing I like about this dish is you cut these chickens up into bite-sized pieces. You can do things if you're pan fry them. You can cut thin this way so they get done quicker. This we just kind of do thin vertical slices, so they'll, cook through pretty easy. I'm just going to put them back in the tainted bowl. Always remember to wash your hands, especially with working with chicken. Do not want cross-contamination. Some of these pieces like that, they start getting bigger. You can cut them in half. These Costco things are honking huge, so you can do something like that where you cut it ahead of time. Still do your slices. Just play with it a little bit. Kind of figure it out along the way. Get the data and the feedback. So, all right, so chicken's cut. Put that off to the side. Now, to steal a phrase from Emma Lagasse, I don't know where you get your chicken from. Before I get mine, it does not come seasoned. I have found a good standard seasoning for anything, pork, chicken, whatever. It's this the Cajun free or Cajun seasoning, salt free. We also got another one, and there's a salt version. If you do the salt free, you can control the salt a little bit better. So mix that all in. While those are sitting, you're gonna get happy. A little flavor. Obviously we'll add that flavor to the dish once it gets in here. I'm going to go wash my hands, and then I'm going to do the pepper. I'm pretty much of the opinion you cannot wash your hands enough when you're doing this stuff. Fresh cracked is the way to go. Eventually you'll learn to taste. And then a little bit of kosher salt. Let me add some later to liven this up a little bit. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the garden pulled some oregano and thyme, I think is what, thyme and oregano. So we'll probably put some fresh herbs in the dish as well. So I'm gonna grab a pan, reposition, and figure out where we're going here. So, forgot the garlic. Can't forget the garlic. Everything starts with onions and garlic, so yeah. Certainly can use garlic powder. Get my compost thing. You can use garlic powder, but in like rubs and things like that. But whenever you're fresh cooking, you got to use fresh garlic. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it's hard to get out. Press it down a little bit, crack it. Come on. Again, garlic's a taste. I tend to like a lot more garlic, so I'm using like 4 kind of small, medium cloves probably. And we've got some big ones, maybe 3 is all you need. If you don't like garlic, use less. So, all right. Guess it's technically 5. You can smash them, slice across them. Get them set up, and then basically just get your hand up on top of this here. There's a couple pieces there. Discolor a little bit. Take those out. Anyway, hand on top, just rock back and forth. Get them the size you want, a little mince. Use the knife, scoop up the pile. Again. That is the best smell, one of the best smells in the whole wide world. Just about there. Got a couple bigger chunks. Direction, go straight through it. Some dishes call for cutting it in slices, like with a shrimp scampi. So you can put more garlic in. This should get you pretty good garlic flavor. Pretty intense. So I'm gonna go rinse my knife off. Especially the garlic always honks me out when I leave my knife in. Those little guys dry on there harder than anything. So anyway, scrape all that off. I'm gonna remove this. We're gonna get ready to do some cooking, some sautéing. All right, so I'm not sure where I lost you, but we're cooking up the veg here. Just trying to get some color to it, trying to soften them. I'm gonna cook the veg first, and then I'm gonna bring in the chicken later. The other thing too, so again, when you're doing this, like use your eyes, see how they're responding, see what the temperature is. The smell though, I mean, you can really learn just how things smell, how things are going. All right, so now these are softened a little bit. They've not really started to color yet, but I want to get some of these other pieces in here so they can start adding their flavor. Like I said, these things cook a little slightly different rate. So when these get to start being done, then these are going to be nice and soft and colored. I'm going to go ahead and throw the mushrooms in as well. Now I wasn't awesome with the cutting. You can see I kind of got, that's the thickness I was going for. It helps it cook a little faster. I got a little thick on that one, so kind of you want to get your thicknesses about the same so everything cooks at a consistent. Pull these out, put the chicken in. Like sometimes if you cook the chicken in here, the vegetables get in the way, so I kind of like to cook the chicken so I know it's done, and then add it back in for flavor at the end. I'm gonna speed this up here. Starting to get lose that batter, but you can see this is starting to color the pan a little bit. Color the veg. You can see how the onions, how they're starting to look now. Getting a little color on those peppers. So these probably should have dropped those in a little bit sooner, but no worries. All right, so they're looking good. I don't want to overcook them because everything's going to get cooked back together. I'm going to bring them all back together later with the chicken, and the sauce and everything. Oh, I just realized I did not throw the tomatoes in there. So maybe that's something we're going to do a little bit. So most of the oil went out, but that's going to be flavor for later. So I'm going to oil the pan again. I'm just going to sit and get happy. Now again, partially because I'm a little goofy, so it's really necessary, but I tend to go to the plastic, a little less reactive than the wood. Anyway, spread these out. Try to get as flat as possible. The general notion is don't spread or don't crowd your pan, but kind of hard unless you're going to cook these in batches, which just doesn't make sense because it's supposed to be fast and convenient. But again, because these are cut so thin, they're going to cook up pretty quick. So you just kind of watch it, see how they start to whiten a little. They're already starting to whiten around the edges here. Now, the one thing you can do is you can overcook them pretty easily too. So just keep flipping them. Now, there's one nice thing about a pan like this is it cooks pretty evenly, so you don't have like cold around the outside. I mean, it's not perfect, but pretty amazing how this browns and cooks. So there's not a ton of fat or anything like that in chicken, hardly at all. But you will get some flavor that'll go in there that'll help flavor the sauce. There's some moisture that kind of comes out. But as I said, if we had all that vegetable in there, this would be sitting on top of vegetables. It would be a lot harder to get this stuff cooked. So that's kind of why I do this two-step process. And then just meld it all back together again. So you want to get it mostly cooked, but not, you don't want to cook it all the way through here because there's going to be a little bit more time in the pan. I think that's when I get the tomatoes in. I'm going to sort of change up my plan too with my roux. So the water's ready to go. So that's going to be when it's time to drop it. This takes what? 8 minutes. So it's good. That's a good thing to make sure you're timing, because otherwise you'll wait to the end and then you're waiting for your pasta while your stuff's cooked. So you can toss this all around, feel how they feel. Starting to get there. So I'm going to throw the veg back in. Should get all that good sauce. Stay with the plastic now, although I do like using the wood. These are cool little things, little boxes of tomatoes. You can get get diced tomatoes, you can get crushed tomatoes. These have to be crushed. This is gonna be more like a sauce. This will add some tastiness to it. You know, now this ultimately, I've come to find out, oh, what the heck, I've come to find out this is essentially chicken cacciatore. Although when I do that, I tend to do that with skin on, bone in chicken breasts and thighs, and then you saute them and then you braise them. Chicken breasts in the sauce. So we're kind of doing that now. So ultimately this is going to be kind of, it used to be I don't think I did as many tomatoes. I did just a few tomatoes. It was kind of more of a white sauce, but I think this is going to be more of a, and then it was like more of a chicken stock sauce, but I think now I'm going to be more of a tomato red sauce kind of thing. We'll see how this thickens. Now that it's simmered, you can actually turn it down just a little bit. That's probably too far. Now it's a pretty full pan, so if you want to try to do the flip, knock yourself out, but be prepared to clean up a lot of tomato sauce if you fail. I tend to like this better with fresh tomatoes, but it is what it is. Then those cook down into individual pieces as opposed to again making a sauce like we did. Oh, this is where I like the fresh herbs, like when you're in the sauce stage of things. So just take them out of the garden, rip some leaves off. You almost can't put too much in. I tend to like my herbs, so I'll put a few in. And the thyme are just like little guys, so just pull them right off the stem. Some grass in there. All right. I think we're heading down the home stretch here, so I can go ahead and drop my pasta. So I don't think I'm going to need to thicken this actually. We'll have to cover roux on a different night. This is just going to cook down to its own sauce. So you can see it's giving up a little bit of liquid. This was kind of thickening this. Still a little juicy, but that's fine. And then, you know, in terms of this chicken, if you're really concerned, you can like cut into it. See how it's nice and white all the way through. Kind of feels still a little spongy, because last thing you want is tough chicken. It ends up being a little bit of a feel thing, but all right, water's boiling, so let's set the timer. Keep stirring the pasta. No sticky. So basically this is it. So now we're just going to cook it till it's done. So this is your basic chicken recipe. You can do it with pork, if I can find a way to do it with beef. Clean out the fridge. Be creative. Oops, you know what I forgot? See, I forgot to add the garlic. No worries. I'll put it right over the top. Stir it in. Fresh garlic sauce. Tend to put the garlic in at the end, the last minute when you're cooking the vegetables, so you can get that good aroma, but it'll still add its flavor this way. Just might be a little sharper, but anyway, this is pollo de pulver. Recipe changes, as you can tell, every time, but it's a quick, easy way to get a nice meal. Hope you enjoy cooking. I'm your Huckleberry. So here you go, finished. It is a little Parmesan shaving on top of that, nice and juicy on the plate. Tasty, tasty.